Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Whiskey Neat Spirited Conversations. Actually, the second episode this week. Spirited Conversations with Interesting People. I am your host, Christopher Hart. Today, we sit down with Michael Yo, comedian, stand-up comedian, radio show host Michael Yo. Michael's best known for his work on shows like Chelsea Lately, The Wendy Williams Show, The Talk, and The Insider on CBS, and his most recent comedy special, Blasian, is on Amazon Prime right now for free. He is here in Houston doing 2 shows tonight, 2 shows tomorrow night at the Houston Improv. Tickets can be found on michaelyo.com as well as the Houston Improv. Michael is... he's from Houston. He was born here to mixed parents. It's a big part of his act. In fact, his special named Blasian is a direct reference to his heritage. He is a down-to-earth, wholesome family man. It makes me feel guilty. I didn't even do anything wrong. This week's episode is, as always, for the next 12 months. It's sponsored by Terlato Distell Artisan Spirits, leader in premium artisan products like Bunnahabhain, Deanston, Ledaig, Tobermory, Bains, Black Bottle, and Scottish Leader. You can pick the entire line at your local liquor store, or if you are a retailer, reach out to your United Wine and Spirits rep. Oh, that's my first professional read. I hope it came out okay. We've been picking up quite a bit of traction the last few weeks, the last few months, and the show has lots in store. The next 2019 is going to be a really good year for us. We've got some future dates planned. In fact, comedian Brad Williams was supposed to be here in a couple of weeks. And Comic Palooza's here. We're going to be covering that. That'll be our first on the... I don't want to mention it before our camera equipment comes in, but we have lots planned, especially outside the studio. Can you hear me? Sorry. Especially outside the studio. So Whiskey Neat, as always, is on ESPN 97.5 FM. You can rate, and review the show. You can also find it on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, the whole 9 yards. I thank you guys so much for your support. We have some announcements coming soon in regards to merchandise. We're changing how we're doing that. And I really appreciate all the support, guys. And so this week we're also joined by a friend of mine, Theodore Crawford. I've known Theo for the last few years. He's been a very integral part of the Houston Whiskey Social the last 2 years. And 2 years, right? You weren't part of the second. No, I didn't think so. You think you were supposed to, but you stood me up. He's off camera if you haven't seen it. I think he stood me up. So it's just a fun conversation about why Michael's in town, where he comes from, and what he's got coming up down the road. So without further ado, Theodore Crawford and stand-up comedian and radio show host Michael Yo. Cheers. It's been a long day already. Yeah. I haven't been up since... How long have you been up?
I flew in at 1 a.m. and Christ. I woke up at 5:30. So I got 3.5 hours of sleep, and now it's in the afternoon. So there you go.
Yeah. It's not good.
No, but I'm fine. This is why you do it.
Sure.
I love what I do, and you got to keep pushing.
And which coast were you coming from?
Los Angeles.
Okay, so I figured you were on that side of the world. You've done quite a bit in your tenure.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I started in radio in Miami. I started in Houston on 97.9 The Box, and then went to 104 KRBE.
I saw you were there this morning.
Yeah, with the Miggity Mad Hatter. I hung out with them, and I worked on 104 KRBE, went to Austin, from Austin to Miami, and Miami to Los Angeles, and that's where things just took off.
Where'd you find time to get married and have a beautiful baby boy?
That's the best part, man. The whole marriage and baby thing. Oh, it's great. Well, I started dating to be married rather than dating just to date. And once I started dating
kind
to
of
be
an
married,
old world feel to it.
But it's so serious. When you just go out on dates, just to go out on dates. Sure. I was literally coming home at 6 going, I'm bored. Yeah. Let me go out on a date. Not caring,
Sure.
what happened. But then I had a dream that I died. And I was at my funeral, and I was watching my funeral, and it was nothing but random people, like girls at the funeral I hooked up with. And I was like, if I were to die today, this is my legacy.
I'm 95% sure that was an episode of 2.5 Men with Charlie.
Was it really?
Yeah, where he was at his funeral and all the women he had been with throughout the years.
Really?
Not even kidding. Although you're a little bit more The view of you is very more wholesome than Mr. Sheen.
Okay.
And that's awesome in the dream that the girls are showing up there too, because I feel like in the dating scene, like back then when I was dating around, nobody would have showed up.
No, but that's when I woke up sweating and like all nervous, but I was thinking like they wouldn't even show up. No. So literally if I were to die, there would be nobody at my funeral besides family. And that's your legacy. And then I was like, see my parents, they've been married 46 years, and I started dating to be married. And on the first date, I remember with my wife, I was like, look, if you're not here to be married and to have a kid, if that's not in your future anytime soon, then we'll have a nice lunch, but we can end it after that.
So at lunch, did you get through the appetizers first, or is it just straight into like?
Oh no, that was our first thing we talked about. Because here's what's interesting: if they are ready for that, that's a great first question.
Oh sure.
If they're not ready, then you're a psycho.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's gonna scare that away. Yeah.
How old were you guys when this?
I was 37. She was 27. No, I was 37 and 25, 26. She was.
That's a good age.
Yeah,
I mean, we got married with when we were 24 or 25. I think it was 25. But by then I was like, I didn't want.
I love how you stared into Theo's eyes when you said that. You're like, we got married.
Yeah, you were going out for the lifeline. I'm like,
you're like, I don't know.
When people look off to do math, that's what I was.
But you were looking in Theo's eyes. He was looking into your eyes, Theo.
So I was never much for I never did the grinder or the eHarmony thing, and it was never my thing.
Grinder. Wait a minute, what?
See, that's how out of touch I am.
Hey, sorry, but if that's your thing, nothing wrong with that.
Sorry,
there's nothing.
One?
Tinder.
Tinder. Sorry.
Grinder, Tinder.
Can we just cut that?
No, that stays.
That's how out of touch I am with dating apps. I was never
no Bumble.
No.
Me neither. I never went on one date on a dating app.
Grinder. This is stupidest thing.
Yeah, we're just gonna drop in Grinder the whole show.
Yeah,
just out of nowhere. Grinder.
This goes back to the TJ Miller turtle thing. It's gonna hold on to it. It's not just. I just wanted to be serious. I was never much of a dating guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I prefer the long term, and also I was the same thing. I was the last male in my family that if I didn't have a kid, my last name would die with me, and that weighed on me a little bit. And
maybe that was part of my dream too, because I'm an only child. So it would have died literally with me as well. So I was watching my funeral, the family name dying, random people, and I was like, "Oh no, this is
your parents' legacy too, right? Because they've been together 45 years. I would feel an obligation to procreate.
Absolutely.
Right? Otherwise, you're doing them a disservice.
Yeah, we procreated right away. I mean, we got married. we got married 3 years ago. Our kid is 2, so we got on it. We got on it.
Yeah. Well, and you just had a special coming out or came out on Amazon Prime called Blasian.
Yeah, it's free right now. You can watch it for free, people. Amazon Prime. Yeah,
I watched it. Shay sent it to me. I thought it was fantastic, and I wanted to ask you, and feel free to not say this, but you mentioned in the episode that your parents own a Jewish delicatessen here.
Yeah. Well, in LA, it wouldn't be a Jewish delicatessen because there's real Jewish restaurants, it's called Slosky's Deli.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So it's I say it's a Jewish. It's not really, but over here it kind of is. It has sandwiches, it has different things, but it's a thing where after I went to college, they took a big chance and invested in Slosky's out of Austin. I think it started in Austin, Texas, and that's where they kind of took off and did their thing, and they have lots of money after I left the house, so I got no benefit from it, so they're living their best life. And I was like, why didn't you have this when I was growing up? Right. It would have been better for me, but my work ethic is strong. So
Sure.
But the special is all about family. I purposely didn't talk about politics, even though I like politics, but I want people to get away from the outside world when they come to a show.
Especially, I agree with you. If I can just be on Facebook without dealing with politics, I think I'd be happier. But I watched through the whole thing. You do seem like you were recently on Rogan too, and you seem like you may have some opinions. You just are not trying to rock the boat.
Well, I have opinions, but I have opinions on both sides.
Sure.
I'm not just
Which, by the way, is, I think, the most reasonable stance.
Because so many people take their one side but don't read the other side. I read both sides of the story.
Well, you got to expose yourself
Absolutely.
to both sides. Yeah.
I'm not just yelling out headlines. I'll yell out a headline, but then I'll know all the facts behind it. So if I'm in an intelligent conversation, we could talk about this. Like I know both sides of every argument, or I try to know both sides. I feel that people today, they only know one side. Like when me and Rogan talked about the whole a police officer pulling you over.
Sure.
Yes, I'm black, I'm a minority, and there are intimidations behind that. But I also understand how these cops are walking up to random cars. Just think that's so scary. You walking up to, that's like you just, it's like am I going to get the wrong car today or not? I don't know what they're doing. Their windows are tinted. And you're just walking up there, knocking on the window, hoping that nothing happens.
Sure.
So the fear, these cops fear all the time of just walking up to random people and pulling them over is something I couldn't even imagine. So I like to tell both sides of the story. And I'm not defending cops, but I'm also not attacking cops. I'm just giving both sides of the story. And I think when we all get to a point where we all tell both sides of the story, I think we'll be in a better place. And I think that helps me in marriage, before I say anything, or if there's something, I think about it both sides.
Yeah.
I take everything, and I think that's what's good about comedy. You can think about both sides of that. So that's how I handle everything.
Well, I'm with you 100%. I've known several people. I grew up in Pasadena. And I knew people that grew up to be cops, and specifically the guy I'm thinking of, I don't want to say his name, but he moved to West Texas and he became a cop out there, and he ended up quitting because he said he felt himself becoming racist. You build all these. It's not that the entire environment of being a police officer is filled with that sort of thing, but you do find these trends that you have to constantly fight and battle, or even just in your own self bias. It makes you self reflective. We had the doctor. It aired today. The episode we did with those two doctors, and one of their job is to do alcohol abuse studies. And because of it, he's like, it makes him self-reflective. He doesn't want to drink. And it's not that he necessarily had a problem. It's one of those things where you see the way things are happening daily. You just want to avoid
going down that path.
Yeah, going down that path.
Even you're seeing just the worst of the worst when you're a cop.
Sure.
No matter what color you're looking at, you're seeing the worst of the worst, because then you realize, every color does bad things.
Yeah, nobody's calling the cops to say like, hey, somebody's planting a tree over
No.
Yeah, you're getting to see all the bad.
And you're seeing death all the time, like in the worst way. So
it's horrible.
It's like, that's why I never wanted to do like serious news. Yeah. Like you see 7:00, if it bleeds, it leads. That's like the last thing I remember. I had a friend that worked at CNN. And they used to make fun of me because I started at E and we were pop culture. But now the real news is covered like salacious, pop culture.
Yeah.
So he was talking to me going, oh, that's not real news. I was like, no, it's pop culture. I would never want to knock on a person's door and go, did you know the little kid that got killed yesterday? Like that is the last thing I ever want to do. So I love staying in my pop culture world. I love having fun. I love comedy.
Keep it light.
Because there's so much darkness and negativity in the world. I just want to bring light to it. So.
And that was the other side of it, is he actually quit primarily because he started having kids.
Yeah.
4 kids later, he was like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too negative. It weighs on you emotionally.
And you're risking your life every single day you walk out the door.
You're going to make it home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
And so he'd rather be with the kids. And so he ended up quitting, becoming a youth minister, and just keeping things much lighter than the way it was.
But still helping people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Trying,
Well, it's crazy because when I was growing up, I wanted to be a preacher. Because I would go, my mom would drag me to church, but I loved the control that a preacher had. Like, he could talk to a whole room and have their attention. And my pastor...
He went the other way.
Yeah, he went the other way, right? And then my pastor said, well, what I'm doing stand-up comedy is preaching my own way, because you've seen my special.
Sure.
It's not negative. It brings people together. It's all about love and family.
It's a little emotional, too. I'm not going to lie.
I broke down and cried.
You had a moment in your special that it was hard to watch. Like, it kind of touches you a little bit.
Well, it shocked me that it happened, because I've told that joke many times and nothing happens. But I think it was the special. My parents were there. It's just my wife, my son just turned 1, and it all just hit me at once when I was talking about her. And talking about my mom beat breast cancer twice, so that's the whole story where I kind of lost it. And when we were taping, they didn't know whether they should stop, and I was just like, I don't know what to do.
No, just leave it. Yeah.
And they decided
it humanizes everything about you. Yeah.
It's one of those moments that also why I wanted to shoot a special is that I know my son will be able to watch it for the rest of his life and know how much I love him.
Back to legacy.
It's it's weird. Everything I do is for legacy moving forward. You know, I'm that type of guy that wants to, you know, like my dad did for me and my mom, you know, leave a great path for my son to be the best he can be, because that's what my dad did and my mom. So
sure. And they which takes me back to the name of your special.
Blasian.
Yeah. So for those who aren't familiar with it.
Black and Asian. Blasian. We're hot right now. You know, Kyler Murray is Blasian that got drafted yesterday. Tiger Woods just won the Masters. Steph Curry, he's half black. You know, half black is in.
and the Asian. Half black.
No. Half black and Asian.
Is he really? Steph Curry is?
No. He's half black. I mean, he's black. I think Steph Curry, he's just very light-skinned black.
Sure.
Well, let's just say light-skinned black people are taking over. What? Gotcha. We are winning today.
I'm with you.
Thank you.
You actually mentioned during your special something that I've seen, and you said you actually grew up in Pasadena.
I grew up at Dobie High.
Okay.
I grew up at Dobie. Yeah, I grew up at my high school. No,
sure.
I grew up in the past. It was called Sagemont. It wasn't necessary. We went, okay, I'll put it like this.
It's a nice area.
No.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
Sure.
It was back
when
then.
I was a kid, yes, it was nice.
It was very nice back then. It was next to Green Tea. I think that was the area called Green something back then. But I grew up in that area, so you know it was like very predominantly white. I was the only one of me around, you know.
Sure.
So I was that guy, you know. It's like, hey.
Well, mix is definitely a bigger thing now. I mean, both my oldest daughters are half Hispanic. Well, one's a little less than half, but there's that even mix, and watching them grow up, which I know it couldn't have been easy, especially in that part of town. And if you weren't all this way or all this way, it's like you weren't part of either, sort of.
Oh no, you can't, because you got to bounce between.
Yeah,
you got to bounce between both of them.
Sure.
You know, like the very few Asian kids that were there, because I played sports, so automatically people just associated with me being black.
Yeah.
And I realized when people look at me, they don't go, "Oh, you're Asian."
You don't see it.
I don't see it right away. Yeah. No.
Yeah, they go, "You're black,"
right,
or "You're something else," you know, but you're not Asian. You know, so I never. When I grew up, it was a weird thing where I was bouncing between, because my dad wanted me to be black, you know, let me know I was black, and my mom wanted me to know I was Asian.
He seems incredibly silly, by the way.
He is. Yeah. He is. But he's a very serious guy too. And I'm working on my next special where he gets really serious in the serious life lessons he teaches me. But he's silly. He's that guy. Like, he's fun.
I follow you on Instagram, your Instagram stories.
Yeah.
And recently, you guys were like in a hotel lobby. I guess when you.
And my mom, the key to marriage.
Yeah.
And my mom said, "Oh, he listened to what I say." And my dad, I go, "Is that the key to marriage?" He goes, "Yeah, listen to what she says." You know, that's them though. You know, you gotta. My dad is just that's their relationship. Ever since I was a kid, I just remember them
40-something years
for just talking trash back and forth. But that's their thing.
Sure.
But it's never mean. It's always nice, upbeat, fun. You know.
My wife and I are similar, except she's a bit more on the pranking side. She wanted a gun for years, but I know she's afraid of roaches.
This is gonna be a dark prank.
She wants guns.
Let me.
And then we got a lot of roaches, so she's gonna shoot the roaches with a gun. Yeah, we hooked up on Grindr. It was crazy.
No, what I meant was
okay. Yeah. Please explain the Grindr roach gun story.
So
prank.
When I was younger, I got my CHL because that's what a lot of people in Texas do.
I don't know what that is.
A concealed handgun license.
Oh, see, I'm in LA. We don't have that.
You have to have it.
So you don't have to have it, but that's a different conversation altogether. Not to get political. But my wife was like, "Oh, I want one. Because if you're gonna get one, I want one." And I was like, "You're afraid of roaches, and I know that if I come home one day, there's gonna be 3 bullet holes in the ground or in the wall or something." Because she saw a roach, and so I got her a taser. And the problem is, tasers don't hurt you real bad, just enough to scare the shit out of you.
Yeah.
So if I'm half falling asleep, and there's all these videos on Instagram of her just, you know, scaring me awake or like, you know, catching me off guard. You don't even have to touch somebody with it. If you just set it off.
Okay.
Is it a taser where they touch them or the shoot?
You touch. You just like so even if you hit the button, it.
So
pops.
We're just doing the sound. Okay,
yeah,
I got you.
I mean, I thought you might have been familiar because she posts all the videos on Facebook and tags me in them of her just like scaring the hell out of me or hiding behind stuff. It's not.
Y'all have a weird relationship. That's very weird.
I'd seen those, but I thought you were gonna go like I thought you were gonna say like she was actually tasing you.
Well, there's a YouTube video that she tagged me in the arm once. My daughter around 6 or 7 had a rough element. Your son's 3? 2. Yeah. Okay, so around, you know, you hit 5 or 6 years old, you're in first grade. Kids learn to judge people by their looks or by glasses or, you know. and my daughter was having a rough day, so we were playing dress up, and my daughter was putting bows in my beard and makeup on my face a little bit. I was having a daddy-daughter moment.
Yeah.
And my wife came in and caught me right in the arm and made me jump. And so there's this YouTube video that you could find of just like bows and beard, just reacting to my wife trying to get me with it. And it's this great video that it's way funnier than it sounds. I'm making it
sounds hilarious.
I'm making it sound like I need to call for help or blink twice.
But she didn't hit you with it.
Yeah, she hit me in the arm.
Does it hurt?
Not as bad as you think. It's like a
Really?
little jolt. Yeah. I mean, it's not a police taser. It's a.
Did you buy her the taser or she bought it?
Amazon for like $20, right? So this thing had
I love that you didn't. I love you were like, I'm gonna get you something to protect yourself, a taser, but
it's like a cheap knockoff.
Yeah. No, but you have to wait till the guy gets to you before you can use it. Like I bought my wife a taser that it launches 18 feet, and when it hits you, it like stings you like that. But
as much distance as possible.
Yeah, because I don't want them to get up on my wife.
Didn't even think about that.
He's like, honey, arm's length is like, you're good, just like right there.
Just project.
Yeah.
So it's we tease each other, we have fun, and there's a lot of prank videos. We're not so much mean to each other a little bit.
Oh, see, my parents are like me. My wife is sensitive, so like she came from a different world. My family, my dad's black, my mom's Korean, so everything's blunt. Yeah. My dad has a little,
blonde.
Blunt.
Oh, blunt.
Oh yeah, my mom's super blunt. My dad is he's blunt, but he's nice about it. You know what I mean? Like my mom though just goes for the kill.
You look bad in that.
Yeah. Never ask an Asian woman for an honest opinion because every opinion is an honest. Like Asian women don't care, and my mom is that way. So. And my wife came from the Brady Bunch side of the family. Like, no matter what you do,
emotion,
it's the best thing.
The smile.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, how are you? So good to see you. Like my wife will text me. I just walk out the door. Miss you already. And I'm like, I'm still here. Like, I'm still here. I'm right outside the door. Which is sweet. But she comes from that world.
A lot of maintenance, huh?
No.
My wife, I feel like if I don't say I love you every hour, it's like, where have you been?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm here. I
learned that because as a comic and as coming from my side, I usually, when I dated before, and maybe this is why I was single, I would say the first thing that popped into my head.
Oh, you can't?
No. Now it's a 3-level. It goes like, oh, that's a dumb idea. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, and then by the time it comes out, it's like, oh, let me look that up. It sounds great. You know what I mean? It just goes through different levels. Got to filter it. I filter everything. Well, not everything, but
sure.
But now it's just I'm so used to it now. I know what I can say to really tick her off. And I just don't do that.
Those hot buttons.
Yeah.
Calm down. I'll pick up my clothes when I'm ready. It'll be fine. Well, Theo, this is your first time on the show.
Yes, it is.
I'm glad you can make it.
So what are you drinking, first of all?
So a couple different things. This is Hibiki 21. It's a Japanese whiskey.
Uh-huh.
I know you're not much of a drinker.
No.
I watched your Love Coffee. I watched the Rogan episode.
Yeah, where I said espresso instead of espresso.
50,000
espresso.
times.
Yeah.
This is a Japanese whiskey. They're really popular right now, and I actually haven't had much of it.
Why is it popular right now?
It's good question. That's a good question because I don't think they're particularly amazing, but they are extremely rare right now. Basically, what happened was so many years ago, the Japanese actually sent a few people, not officially, not on government business, but there were a couple of guys who went to Scotland that were in love with Scotch, that learned the tradition, learned the history, and then brought it back to Japan. Mm-hmm. And now some of the best, most popular whiskey in the world is out of Japan.
They do everything better.
Taiwan.
Those Asians, man, I tell you. Don't give them nothing, they'll make it better. That's half of me. Yeah, I can even smell it from here. That's strong.
Yeah. So it's in 90 proof, peated, so it's got a little smokiness to it.
Yeah, I can smell it.
Smell like almost like a barbecue-ish.
Yeah,
smell. Like firewood,
like a piece of wood.
Yeah. And if you're a whiskey drinker, then it's a.
Is that the taste you want? Wood.
There's an acquired taste, right? It spends its whole life in a barrel. It gets most of its flavor from a barrel. So I would say wood is
like when you say whole life, how long has that lived in a barrel?
21 years.
Really?
Isn't that crazy to think of? Like somebody took a spirit and something and said, let's stick it in this wooden barrel for a while and just see what it comes out.
And I may not be alive when it's done. But hey,
sure.
Somebody will enjoy it. At some point.
And if you know the history behind peat, and I've kind of told this story on the show, but the way that smokiness is peat, and what peat is you have these landlocked areas of like fields that don't erode at all, right? So over time, as grass dies and animals die and material plant matter dies, it partially decomposes. New grass sprouts up, and for every inch, I think it's 100 years. So you get a foot down,
crazy.
It's like 1,000 years. So 1,000 years for every foot into the ground you cut. So it literally takes 1,000 years, thousands of years, depending on how much is cut to roast the barley, just to put that in the glass.
Wow.
And it's pretty. That's the premise of the show is to have drinks with people. Have you ever seen Hot Ones? Which, by the way,
of course,
you got to do Hot Ones.
I know that's next on the list. I got to do. Hot
if you're from Houston, I'm sure you've experienced hot food in your life.
Oh
right?
my gosh, yeah.
And Hot Ones is one of my favorite shows right now.
I'm a terrible Houstonian because I would be DJ Khaled on that show. Like
and
I
quit
would
after 3 wings. Yeah.
Except I would own it. That was But I mean, I can't do. I think he was
the first one on the Hall of Shame. Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, he only did
y'all
3.
catch that?
I didn't see that. I heard about it.
3 wings, and he gave up. And there's been a lot of trash talk from other comedians about
that episode
because he said to very clear, like, I'm not giving up, but I'm not going to eat anymore. And so
what does that mean?
And so then you give up.
I'm going to tell that. I'm going to tell it to my wife next time I don't want to do something.
Listen,
I am going to do it.
I'm just not going to do it. I'm not giving up.
But
I'm not going to do that.
Absolutely.
No, I can't handle spicy food at all.
Yeah, I can. I mean, my Korean food is hot.
Yeah.
So I can handle. I don't know how far I could go on that show because I don't know how hot is.
Sure.
Do people finish the whole thing?
All the time.
Yeah.
In fact, they just had Scarlett Johansson. They've had is Emilia Clarke? I think she did an episode. Daenerys?
Did she really?
I'm pretty sure there's been someone from Game of Thrones on that show.
Oh my God. I cannot wait till this Sunday.
Do you watch?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Dude, we've got a running Deadpool of who thinks going to die first on this specific episode.
Oh, who do you think?
Can I give my theory of what I think is going to happen this season?
For the whole season? Yes, please.
Yeah. We're here to talk about you, but let's
talk
about Game of Thrones.
Let's talk about Game of Thrones. I mean, come on.
I think this is what's going to happen. I haven't seen it. I haven't read any spoilers, so no one get mad at me because this airs today. But I think what's going to happen is they're going to get decimated at Winterfell right now.
Yeah.
That castle, Sunday, almost everyone's going to die. Those that survive are going to retreat because originally Cersei said that either they'll kill the White Walkers and there won't be enough left that will kill them all, or the White Walkers will wipe them out and we'll deal with the White Walkers. But I think what will happen is they'll retreat and that some of them, a good chunk, will be left. They'll return to King's Landing and she'll be forced to not kill them, but to partner up with them.
Cersei.
She's going to have to she's going to be forced to partner up one last time.
Why? How can she be forced though?
Because she's going to realize when it's
everybody's died. Yeah. She's going to die no matter what.
I think they're going to come back to her, retreat, and say, "Look, we got kicked. You're going to get kicked. You can't do this alone. We're going to have to partner up. Look, we hate you. We're going to have to partner up one last time." I think they're going to partner up one last time. And I think Clegane will make it back, right? The not the mountain, but the brother,
Hound.
The Hound,
Hound.
right?
Hound.
I think the Hound will make it back. I think we'll see Arya make it back because I think Arya may even potentially, because she does the face thing.
Yeah.
She may even someone important may die, like Bran. He may die. She may have to put on the face, and I don't know. All I know is I think what's going to happen is we're going to see a retreat this episode or the following episode. And that's how you get the Cersei storyline cleaned up, is they're going to finally defeat them, and then they're going to immediately start killing each other.
Like a red wedding.
Like a red wedding. I think Cersei is going
See, that's too messy.
What's the cleanest way?
It makes sense.
What's the cleanest way
It totally makes sense.
What's the cleanest way to get back to her to take care of that storyline?
See, that's true. You have to get back to her. She's not going to come.
If they wipe out all the White Walkers and there's not going to be much left, then they all go back and like, hey, we took care of it.
How far is Cersei away?
I mean, south. What does it matter?
No, because who's to say the White Walkers can't take her out too? Like before.
Oh, she's significantly. Oh, I think they're
further away.
Because if you remember this episode, the guy that I look like, Tormund, they went around the dead because they're walking, they're not running.
Yeah.
Right. So they rode horses around the group of the dead to get to the castle to say, hey, they're going to be here in the morning. Right. I think they can retreat fast, and the walkers will just slowly work their way there. And then
I have a different. I think the whole battle that's about to happen is going to be 2 episodes.
Okay.
I think it's going to be 3 and 4. They're going to stretch it out for 2 episodes.
Okay, but what's the end result?
I think the end result is the people that are in the dungeon that are going to be locked up.
Oh, they're all dead. What a stupid idea.
No, those are the ones that are going to live.
He can raise the dead.
Who can?
The Night King, whatever his name is. The main guy can raise the dead. Right? So what's in the crypts?
Dead.
A bunch of dead people.
I never thought about that.
Like, let's send all the women and kids to the crypt with all the dead people.
No, but Peter Dinklage, Sansa, and all those 4 are in this type room.
Sure.
So I think those 4 definitely will survive
because they all die. Well,
and Jon Snow, I think
they might escape. They might,
I think it's going to come down to Jon Snow and Sansa and Daenerys, and Jon Snow is going to have to pick his sister over Daenerys or vice versa.
Sansa dies this Sunday.
No way. No way.
She's just a bitch at this point. She just looks so mad and so angry.
No, you know why?
Well, that's why they're going to keep her. That's why they're.
You know what? And also, she hasn't had her scene with the Hound. They have to reunite because the Hound was nice to her when she was weak.
Wait, are you talking about Arya or Sansa?
I'm talking about Sansa.
The Hound was nice to Sansa?
Oh, yeah. You go back to season 1, 2.
I see you've watched the show. No. Oh, you just shaking your head. You're like, he was nice to her.
Sansa, the Hound actually took care of Sansa.
I don't remember this.
And when she was like
I thought that was Arya.
No. Arya, Arya, they were trying to kill each other. Arya and the Hound, weren't they?
We should be playing Dungeons and Dragons right now.
I'm telling you.
just to put it over the top.
I'm telling you, Sansa or the Hound doesn't die until they'll meet. Now, after they meet up again, one of them will die.
The Cleganes have to fight each other.
Okay.
Right? So the Hound and the Mountain have to end this. So the Hound is going to survive the Battle of Winterfell. Again, talk about retreating south to partner up. And
the Hound's going to have to fight the Mountain.
Right, because that's where the Mountain is. He's down there with Cersei. So he's got to get from point A to point B and survive so that they could fight each other. So the Hound makes it out of this whole thing alive. I think Sansa dies Sunday. I think Arya survives. The only thing I'm really torn about is I don't know if Jon Snow or Daenerys dies this season. I'm hoping that they both live.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to both of them living and Jon Snow having to decide if he's going to have Sansa's back or Daenerys' back.
But he just told, spoiler alert.
He just told Sansa he didn't want to be a king.
No. But he just told Daenerys that he's technically the rightful heir.
Yeah.
So,
but you can choose love and give up the crown.
But do you think Daenerys is going to make him give up the crown? The crown?
Oh, yeah. If it comes down to, put it like this: if Jon Snow is going to lose Daenerys, if she's not the queen, he would you can be the queen. Or the king, or be on the throne.
It's my favorite part of the day right here is having this discussion.
I'm telling you, he's going to choose love. Jon Snow is going to choose love.
All right.
Daenerys knows that.
Well, we'll see.
But then Daenerys will kill Sansa, and then Jon Snow will kill Daenerys, and then he'll be sitting on the throne like, what?
If these are accurate predictions, this is like
Can I tell you what?
Spoiler.
Can I tell you what I really want to happen?
Sure.
I want everybody to die, and the last shot is just an empty throne, and then it goes black.
And the Night King sits on it?
No, nobody does. Everybody.
Everybody dies.
It's just an empty throne, and it just sits there, and then it goes black.
Plot twist: none of them are vaccinated. They all get smallpox
or measles.
Or measles
is big, and they all die.
The Night King's one weakness is measles,
right?
So,
and then at the end, after it goes black, they play "Don't Stop Believing." Don't stop. Oh, no. Hey, what? 2 HBO shows back to back in with the same song? This is crazy. This is the best conversation ever.
Joe Rogan could suck it. So you actually have the Michael Yo Show on SIRIUS XM's
on Sirius EW Radio Channel 105, the Michael Yo Show, and then after that, I have another radio show on SIRIUS XM Channel 2. It's called Hits 1 in Hollywood, where we play top 40 music. So 2 radio shows. Do Wendy Williams. I'm on May 6th, so I get to see.
I didn't know Wendy Williams still has a talk show. I thought she kind of took a break.
Oh no, she's back.
Yeah,
she's
still
going.
She said this guy cheated on it. She came out with it, and now she's living her best life on TV. So
that's
good
how
for her.
Letterman was, right? He just came right out and was like, just put it all out there. Everyone moved past it immediately.
Yeah. So once you put it out there, I mean, people love to hold on to things if you don't come forth with it.
Yeah.
Sure.
But as soon as you do, people go
because
you take the power away.
Yeah.
They feel like they got you.
Yeah.
And if you just put it out there.
It's like Eminem in his last battle. He was like, I'm going to say all the negative stuff about me. So when you say it, people go, I already heard that.
That's how he got famous. I mean, did you see when he was it B-Rabbit or whatever his name was in
8 Mile?
8 Mile? Yeah,
That's what you do
You
today.
immediately address all your insecurities and then they have nothing to say about it.
Yeah, they're just like, what he said. You know, like you take all their lines away.
Well, you have both shows. You're going on Wendy Williams.
Yep.
And I actually was checking out your show because I'm an avid Michael Yo follower on Instagram.
Yeah.
You've had on Joseph Gordon-Levitt, recently Fran Drescher, which I didn't even know Fran Drescher was still alive. I'm such a huge fan of Fran Drescher, right?
Oh.
I mean, that was a big part of anyone who's 30, 34, 35.
The nanny?
45 to 50. I mean, it
Yeah.
was a big part of that and Golden Girls and Designer Women and Designing Women. And there was like all these great shows from that era.
Yeah, she was great. I mean, Fran Drescher was great. We have a lot of great. Selma Hayek popped on the show before. You know, I just love the show because we get a lot of celebrities and I get to just chill out with them, talk to them just like this and get to learn about them and how they tick. And you find out that everybody that's successful, it's just a hustle. They keep hustling.
Sure.
I interviewed Betty White when she was 97 and she was just like,
that was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, right?
She's like 120 and she looks amazing.
I was like, why don't you just stop and retire? She goes, I'm working. I'm still hustling. Like, this is Hollywood. Once you move here, this is what you do. You try to stay working. And I don't care how old I am. And if I sit around, I'm going to die. So I'll just might as well work.
Stan Lee was 97,
Yeah.
98.
Was he really?
Yeah.
He's old.
She was old.
And he was still, I mean, if you saw Captain Marvel, he made an appearance there. Which
he was in it.
I forgot how many times they...
Have you seen Avengers yet?
Not yet.
Endgame?
No.
Did you get like a screener or something? Cause it just,
Oh, no, I saw it already. I saw it like a week or two ago.
What? Well, I think it may have come out in different markets.
No. I went to the screening. It was one of those surreal moments where I get invited to the Disney lot to watch a screening of Endgame.
Sure. Like
Avengers.
you made it moment. Where
Yeah.
So you know the ending and everything.
I know everything. Yeah.
No.
I'm not.
No, but I will say this: just don't stay for the final credit because that's not. You can read about.
There's no
this.
final credit.
There's no final credit. All it is Tony Stark.
Whoa! Michael, yo!
No. But you don't see anything.
Okay.
What they're saying is like if you're watching it at the end, all that comes up is the Marvel logo. But you hear this clanking.
Yeah, I heard
but
that.
We never heard that in the theater because everybody was so pissed that there wasn't it. So all you hear at the end is, oh, we waited 15, 20 minutes for that just to see the logo. But they said if you really listen, it's just...
what is it?
It's allegedly Tony Stark making an Iron Man suit. But nobody knows. But there's no scene at the end of the movie.
Okay.
I mean, spoiler, now we know Tony Stark's alive.
Oh, God.
Or is he?
Maybe he's in Hades.
Oh, yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
They never made that.
Or
that
maybe
approach.
he's in heaven doing that. Who knows?
I knew him in the 90s. He's definitely not in heaven. Speaking of which...
Maybe he's in someone's bedroom accidentally making it.
You have this image of... I thought about saying this earlier, then I realized it doesn't sound good. So I had to change the person I was selecting. I was going to say that you have this image of like Bill Cosby in the 90s, but then I was like, that's not
you before the
right. He was America's dad, right?
Yeah.
So you're like a Tom Hanks. You've got this really wholesome, and if you follow you on Instagram, it's the most wholesome, family oriented.
Well, that's
brand.
but that's what I am. Yeah. You know, I remember somebody said, "When did you know, like who you were in Hollywood?" Because when you go to Hollywood, you see everybody, and you go to castings, and you try to be something you're not. I remember my friend was a casting director at NBC, brought me in for an outdoorsy show. And they go, you got to be like an outdoorsy type of guy. I'm not that dude.
Right.
But I went in and acted like one. It was the worst. My friend calls me over and goes, that's probably the worst audition I've ever seen. Like me, an outdoors guy, please. I was like, oh, look at this and that. I was like,
great trees.
Yeah, I was like, it was horrible.
With them in the plaid shirts.
Right? No, I dressed in a plaid shirt. I was terrible.
The lumberjack.
Yeah, I was terrible. And he goes, you just need to be, we wanted you to be yourself because you're funny, but in this environment, so you should have done what you really are, is scared of the wilderness, but where you're the host of this show, which would have been hilarious. Yeah. Like you're hosting a wilderness show and you hate the wilderness. That's what we wanted, but you try to act like you like the wilderness. And we were like, we all looked at you and like, this is the most metro man we know. He hates the forest. Like, I don't like bugs. I don't like anything that no, snakes, get it out of here. So what you learn is you learn your own voice. Once you learn who you are, and I think stand-up helped a lot in that because, you get a lot of no's in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You get a lot of no's. But once you go on stage and you have 300-400 people laugh at your jokes, you're going, oh, they're laughing at me. I can be myself and still entertain people. So, in LA, I do the Comedy Store, Laugh Factory, improv. And what I love is if you get like 3 no's in a day or a couple no's a day, just go up on stage. You do 15, 20 minutes, get lots of laughs, and you go, all right. They still like
it builds
me.
You up a little bit.
It's empowering.
And then when you go into castings, you're not scared because their no's. There's 300 people that'll say yes later on that night at a comedy club.
Like
good
tonight.
perspective.
Like tonight, improv, Houston,
Improv.
Texas. Come on out. 4 shows, 2 tonight. It's Friday, and 2 tomorrow night. Let's go to michaelyo.com or improvhouston.com and get tickets. Yeah.
Oh, that nice little transition there.
I've
been doing this a minute. You actually, so you were on the very first episode
of Fear Factor.
Of Fear Factor.
Dude, when I read the ad of Fear Factor, I was in Austin, Texas, and it goes, do you want to do something fun? How are you adventurous? And I'm not, but I was like, why not?
I like outdoors.
I'll take an adventure.
Like trees.
I like trees. I was like, I'll take an adventure. And they didn't have a name for it. They flew us out to LA. I went to casting. They flew us out to LA. I met this guy named Joe Rogan 18 years ago. And he was the host of the show. We were the pilot. So the people that actually put on the show did the real world. So Matt Kunitz and Mikey, we call him the Chimp, but he cast it for it. And Matt Kunitz is the creator of it. And they were looking, if you look at the first Fear Factors, it was about personalities. Then it just became a hot fest. Whoever's hot and looks good in tight clothing. But since they all came from real world, they wanted those real world type of relationships. They had every episode had a enemy, a person everybody hated, and they had all different type of personalities. And met Rogan at, what is that place with the Saddle Ranch. That was the first place we met Rogan, and it was great, man. And then we stayed in contact, and then like a couple of weeks ago, he hits me up on a Sunday, says, can you be here Tuesday? I'm like, yeah. And so I did his podcast, and then he hit me up, and what I saw was, it's interesting. I didn't know, since his audience is like, a lot of fighters, hyper aggressive, but if I found out that, those hyper aggressive dudes like real stories, and they love when you can defend both sides, when you can make a point, but not. My whole thing is, when you make a point, don't attack the other side. Just tell them your point.
Yeah.
I don't need to go into just tell both sides or tell your point and move on. Once you start yelling at people, that's when they get angry. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So
there was a movie in a few years ago. I think it was called Thank You for Smoking. It had that really good-looking guy that played Two-Face in the Batman movies.
Yeah,
Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was talking about how to win arguments in politics is to not prove your side right, but to attack the other side, to take away from it. So when you're trying to have a discussion over what's the best ice cream flavor, you don't have to prove that strawberry is the best flavor. You just have to prove that chocolate's not.
Yeah.
And then by default, strawberry's the best. Like if you have 2 people arguing a point, if I just diminish your point, then my point's by default correct. It's a different approach.
See, my whole thing is not attacking.
Sure.
Why I think my comedy works. I talk about a lot of racial issues that I touch upon, but since I'm not yelling at people, people don't take it as I'm being like aggressive about race.
Sure.
But I'm just exact. Yeah. But I remember I went to Kansas City. I had 4 Trump people come to my show in hats, sat front row because I said I don't talk about politics.
Bait.
Yeah, they wanted me to, and I didn't say anything because to me that doesn't matter. I don't care. I'll do my comedy because my comedy is to appeal to everyone. I don't care if you're in the Trump hat.
In an XL?
Hey, I wouldn't wear that, but it's like my thing is kind of like it's a thing where you could be at my show. I don't care because I don't talk politics. So after the show, they said our wives told us that you don't talk politics, and we're so happy we came. And we understand you do a better job explaining your side of stories than politicians. Because I didn't yell at them. I go, this is what happened to me. A lot of times people go, this is what happened to me, and that's why white people do this, and this, or that's why black people are like this, or this is why Asians are like this. I just said
leave that part off.
This what happened to me. You make your own judgment. Jussie Smollett, to me, he's guilty. But you make your own decision on that. OJ, come on now. He's innocent. But that's my thing is I put the facts out there and let people make their own decision. And I had those 3 people go, we understand your struggle now. You didn't yell at us, but we understand what you went through. It must have been tough. And they were very sympathetic towards it because I didn't attack them for it.
You do a good job of making it clear of your position in a way that people know that you wouldn't necessarily agree with them, but it doesn't come off as you.
Yeah, I'm not yelling at you.
So even if we don't agree, and I know that you don't agree, but it doesn't come off as a hostile moment.
Well, because I try to understand their side and point, unless their point is just bad, and then I'll just go, hey, you can believe what you want to believe. I don't understand what you're trying to say or the point you're trying to make, but I'm not going to attack you for that. I just don't understand your point.
Well, it all keeps coming back to what you said about trying to see both sides of things.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of an art that's lost these days is like you said at the start of the show, nobody wants to hear anything but their side.
Exactly.
People just want to say what they believe and have you hear and agree with them.
You got to ride or die with them. Like,
that was my point earlier, is that the old mentality is that I've got to diminish your point. I can't just disagree with you. And I think now you're seeing a lot more, not in all circles, and not in all realms, and not in all mediums like Facebook or whatever, but there is I think a concerted effort from a lot of people that I know, especially over the last few years within the bourbon world, of you don't have to take away from their point. You can just make your point. Like I don't have to attack you or diminish you in your stance on something. We can disagree by simply stating what we believe, like you said.
Oh, yeah. I do a lot of these panel shows, and some panel shows go, well, to make good TV, we have to have opposing sides. And I go, oh, I understand that because that's a different discussion. But I go, I could like something for a totally different reason than you like it. And that's where the conversation comes in. You know what I mean? You could like vanilla ice cream because of this. And I'd be like, well, I like vanilla ice cream because blank, blank, blank. So you could have two different opinions on something that you agree on. You know what I mean? Like no matter what it is. So I don't believe in you have to have two opposite opinions to have great conversation. Sure. It could be the same opinion, just different reasons.
Different perspectives.
Different perspectives on it.
Well, that's why I don't think anybody should be doing these little, and not to, listen, I feel like I've been kissing Rogan's butt a lot this podcast, but I don't like the idea of doing these like 2 or 3 minute segments on big popular networks, because it's not enough to have a helpful conversation. It's only meant to be combative.
Well, but it 100% is programmed to be combative.
Sure.
Like the news went downhill, and it's always been rated, but there's so much money in news because of ratings. You want to get real news, take away the ratings.
Take away the 24-hour cycle,
Yeah.
period.
Well,
Like you have to manufacture something to talk about. You have to find controversy in things that shouldn't necessarily be controversial.
Well, my thing is, if you like, I'm sick and tired of every news outlet going, are you surprised? Like in politics? No, you shouldn't be surprised anymore. Anything can happen, but you still hear this, well, I'm talking to such and such. Are you surprised? No. Take that out of your vocabulary.
It's incendiary. You're trying to elicit a response.
To incite a response that will get people fired up, and that's all it is. And I love the news people. They're worse than, I call them gossip columnists now, because here's if you watch any network, it's this: I'm gonna make a point. I'm the host. I'm gonna make a point. I'm gonna have each side on. They're gonna fight.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna pretend like
I
care.
Try to mediate.
No, whoa, slow down, people.
Yeah.
You're getting too angry. Like, you want that. That's why you have two idiots on each side yelling at it. Here's the thing. They're finding.
I agree.
They're finding the most right person they can find that will defend Donald Trump no matter what. Donald Trump could walk down the street, shoot everybody. And be like, well, maybe
they needed to die.
Oh, yeah. And then they'll find the most leftist person to go against that person. So then they're just yelling at each other.
Sure.
But that's designed by the programming because they know that's great TV.
Your heart gets racing.
Well, you get pumped up.
But that's what the people want is the problem. People want, especially in this day and age of social media, like people want to be able to get on Facebook and see 1 or 2 minute clip of somebody yelling about something. And then they'll find something they can agree with, and they'll be like, this made me feel good.
It's the world star of politics.
Yeah.
Literally.
But that's what's being consumed. Like, so even if you take away, ratings, like you said, or you take away the 24-hour news cycle, people are still going to want to consume that. And if there's a demand, they're going to supply it because there's money in it. So I think it's just our society.
There's incentive.
Yeah. It's just, I think that's just the way that things are now.
So I haven't actually seen the episode you did on Fear Factor.
Okay.
I was curious what you taste.
I ate sheep eyeballs.
Sheep eyeballs?
Yeah. Yeah, it was nasty. You would eat them. They were bursting in your mouth. And then, and then you would chew the retina, and it's really hard. It's disgusting. And you had to eat 3 of them.
Ooh. And you don't drink. I would have immediately wanted to sanitize my mouth.
Well, they don't let you eat. So we did it at like 11 o'clock in the morning, but they didn't let us eat for like 13, 14 hours before that because they knew you would throw up whatever you had in your stomach.
If you were,
so they just wanted you on there like retching instead of actually
No. They didn't want you to throw up. So what you did was, I think we stopped eating at 8 o'clock the night before. They fed you a big meal, and then they brought you out like 9 or 10. By the time I shot, it was 11. So even if you wanted to throw up, you had nothing in there, but they said you wouldn't throw up because you had nothing in there. So
sure.
I don't know.
So like your body needed enough that it would keep it down.
Wrong.
Yeah,
I
would?
Mean, in that, I don't do eyes at all.
Yeah.
So like
I don't do organs. I'm not an organ guy.
So like you would not do a liver, but you'd be okay with an eye.
I don't even like liver in general, but it's a bit more socially acceptable to eat a liver than an eye.
But remember, I'm not just randomly eating eyes.
You're trying to win 50 grand,
I was trying to win money. I was trying to win some money. I was broke living in Austin,
Texas. This was just a Saturday night.
Yeah, no. That's my Saturday night in Houston. I just pop by the eyeball place and pick up a couple eyeballs to eat. That's the way I roll.
Rogan actually mentioned that they used to add stinky cheeses when they would grind stuff up to make it smell worse. So if there was an organ on a sheep or something that wasn't necessarily stinky, if you grinded it up, they would make it stinky to try to cause the retching. So
100%.
Seemed counterintuitive if they wanted you to keep it down, but also we're trying to.
It's TV. They want you to throw
for good TV.
But you got to remember, I was on the first episode. They didn't want anybody to die.
Sure.
They were more concerned about personality rather than making it gross. Even though we ate sheep, it was a little gross. But compared to what they did later in the show, I mean, come on.
As we talked about off air.
Yeah.
By the end of it, they didn't care if anyone died. I think that was Rogan's concern.
Yeah, it's just like
it's too much.
They were having interns drink the stuff and doing all that. No way.
Yeah, I think you mentioned they would pay interns like $100 to test stuff out, and then they would amp up the disgusting after. So they would like pay an intern like $100
just to see if it would stay down.
If it would stay down, and if he drank it or ate whatever it was too easy, they would be like, let's make it worse. Let's make it 10 dead rats or something.
Yeah,
like
whatever.
See, I'm not super familiar with the that whole like Fear Factor thing.
Sure.
So if the baseline is sheep eyeballs, I tap
out
immediately.
Tap out immediately.
Yeah, right away. Not happening.
No. So what's next? You've got Houston now, and tonight again you're at the Houston Improv.
Houston
2 shows tonight.
2 shows tonight. 2 shows tomorrow. Just go to michaelyo.com or Improv Houston. I have the 2 radio shows. I'm on Wendy Williams in a couple weeks. I'll be guest hosting with her. And then just working on writing a sitcom, so hopefully that'll go through.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah, it's off my stand-up. So
sure,
yeah. So cool. Just hustling.
Are we talking network like CBS, like wholesome stuff?
Yeah, hopefully
on brand.
Hopefully Fox, CBS, but I signed a little deal with Fox, so we'll see.
He said that's so low key.
Yeah,
that's a little deal with Fox.
Yeah,
no big deal.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'll be at Wendy Williams.
Whatever. I'll be at the Improv tonight. Let's go. Let's do this.
And then, so are you? What's the next stop after this for those listening?
San Francisco.
So you're going right back.
Oh, yeah, but I got a month off. So I like to try to stay in town for my son and my wife. So I'm going back, going to hang out for a couple of weeks. And then I think they're going to go with me to San Francisco.
Sure.
Yeah, they couldn't make it out here. My wife was a little sick. So we'll be in San Francisco.
How do you like being a dad?
Love it. It's the best thing in the world.
Isn't it amazing?
I can't even put words. I mean, it's so amazing to have a son. And
has he gotten his first haircut yet?
No, we won't cut his hair because, he's white, black, and Asian. We need to know what it's going to do first.
Oh, shit.
You know,
it could go a number of different directions.
Like his hair is confused, right? It's like, what am I?
I'm half black, half white, and I ended up with this.
See?
So
I
never
know that about you.
Oh, yeah. Now you know.
I've been friends with you for a few years. I wasn't sure. I thought you did yoga for sure.
Right?
Dropping secrets. Yeah.
Look at that. Look, he's like if Jason Momoa lost about 100 pounds.
Of muscle.
Sure.
100 pounds of muscle.
That's right. You are the new, he could play Jason Momoa's brother.
You're like Aquaman if he was into essential oils.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm just trying to build a look so I can be Aquaman in a biopic when he's like, a teenager.
The young one.
I like it.
Did you ever see him in Baywatch?
No.
He was about your size in Baywatch.
Okay.
Was he really?
Go.
Yeah, so when he was in Baywatch, he was much.
Do you remember The Rock's first movie that put him on the map what was it called? Oh my God, I can't remember. He had a little girl show up to that.
I know what it was. He was a football player.
Yeah, football player. Yeah. But he was so thin. He played quarterback, and I believe The Rock thought he had to look a certain way too because he was super slim.
Yeah.
He's still big. as a normal dude, but he was slim for the
He
Rock.
finds out he has a daughter,
and he was a quarterback.
Sure.
So he was so thin, he played a quarterback in the movie. The movie, I can't believe I forgot what the movie's name.
It's
but
something. Yeah, it's a football
it is
movie.
something.
I remember. Yeah,
it is something. It's something.
It's a movie.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
a
really
movie.
great at this job.
Yeah. Well, I'm supposed to know this. I'm so mad at myself. I'm gonna find out what it is. The Rock football movie.
Kindergarten Cop.
Well,
No.
no, that's a different guy. What I would say is going back to the haircut thing. So our son is 2.5, and it got to the point where
The game plan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he basically found out that he had a daughter he didn't know he had, and then he was trying to be a better man, and that goes from there.
Yeah.
So fantastic film. So our son, he got to a point like me where it was a little shorter here, longer on the side. It started to look like a little bit like a mullet. So we took him to go get his haircut, and you think you love your son as much as you can right now until you get his first haircut. Like every little thing that they do, every new milestone they hit, you find out a new level of love that you have for them. And when he got his first haircut, I couldn't deal with it. I still have, and this was like 2 weeks ago. I'm still dealing with it.
You didn't like it?
Oh, I loved it.
You loved it?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's a new level of adorableness. It's a new.
So you really hated the way he looked? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
My wife fought me for several weeks saying he's not ready for his haircut. We're not ready. And I loved my son, and I love my son unconditionally. But then you get their first haircut, and they look a little older. They look a little more mature.
That's what it is.
And it crushes your heart. Like I'm also even doing a show about alcohol. I'm hugely family oriented.
Yeah.
We've got 2 teenage daughters and 2 and a 3-year-old daughter and son. My son was my 4th. I was trying to wait. I was trying to make sure that I carried on the name.
Gotcha.
So we just kept going until we
Till
hit
you
a
got the
boy.
boy.
Yeah. Thank God, right?
Right.
So 4 is enough. But it's a new level of cute. And so when I hear someone say they've got a 2-year-old, I start thinking about all these little milestones.
Oh, yeah.
And just think about like how it's got to just kill you, you know?
With
the cuteness.
The first time he said, I remember I left the house one day because I had to promote my stand-up special. So I was gone like 3 days. And when I left, he could just go, ha, ha. And then my wife on the 4th day sent me a video and he went, hello, dada.
Oh my God.
Started crying.
Sure.
Oh my God. Just those little FOMO, fear of missing out. Like that's when you're on the road so much, you miss those little things. Like I wanted to be there for him to go, hello, dada. Now he says, it's just and just something that simple.
Short.
Makes you feel like
Y'all gotta stop. Y'all got me wanting kids now.
I was at a conference in Vegas, an aviation conference in Vegas, when my daughter found her voice. So when they're first born, they don't say much besides crying. Around 3-4 months into her being a person, she all of a sudden could say gaga noises, like nonsense.
Yeah.
But I got and it's still on this phone. I still have it on my phone of just the moment she found her voice. And I'm in Vegas of all places. And I just felt, I was there for work, but I felt like I had a horrible husband, a horrible father.
Fear of missing out.
And I to this day, I still go back and listen. And now she's got a full vocabulary. Yeah. I mean, it's awesome, man. I mean, you got to have like 5 kids. Just do it out.
Or 2.
Are you guys going to have more?
No, yeah, we want to. So, yeah, we want a boy. Well, we got the boys and a girl. So, my wife really and my mom and her mom, they really want a girl. So, we'll see. I can't control that. Sure. Well, I can control that.
Well, you not voluntarily.
I am, yeah.
I have a theory about that, by the way, and this is just be the last thing, and I'll let you get out of here. I know it's our chromosome that decides, but I think it's like when you offer someone food. You say, would you like a sandwich or some ribs or something? Then they choose. I think there's something about the female anatomy that chooses the selection.
You think so?
I think you're offering her 2 options.
And then
the body's making the decision.
You're just like a man. You're just like blaming the woman. So, like, you're like, it's your fault.
Listen, I told you.
You just blamed a woman. Like if they want a girl and they get a boy, it was your fault.
They're not having
your body.
I'm empowering her to make the decision.
Oh yeah.
The
right
decision.
The right decision. That's hilarious. I'm definitely not going to tell my wife that.
Michael Yo, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. I know you got a long flight.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much for coming. You guys, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.